Coming up on the county line, gas prices continue to rise. Truck drivers have been hit the hardest with record high diesel prices.
And we'll introduce you to a local horse breeder who raises horses that come in a slightly smaller size.
And of course, Dave Gregg has all the action of Titantown sports. We're live.
We're local.
We're the county line, and the county line starts now. Good evening, I'm Laurel Sprague.
And I'm Chris Norris. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's County Line.
Those of us who drive sedans and sports cars are not very happy about the rocketing price of gas. Reporter Andy Boris shows us how truck drivers are actually affected more than anyone, as the price of diesel fuel has reached record highs compared to last year.
Show any signs of dropping.
It's probably about $45 a week for me.
I spend $80 to $100 each week.
It cost me about $12 to go to work and back at a $7.50 an hour job.
And they show no mercy for any unleaded fuel users. Even I spend over $50 on my last fill-up at the pump.
In order to save money and get better gas mileage, many drivers have resorted to such tactics as removing the clutter out of their cars and vehicles in order to drop the weight.
But larger vehicles like buses and trucks don't have this luxury. Record-breaking diesel prices at over $4.10 a gallon have led to record-breaking headaches. And John, a local truck driver, isn't thrilled about the cost.
I don't think there's any reason for it. I believe it's just an attempt to get us on it as biofuel stuff and basically to hurt the American economy.
Many truck drivers have literally stopped to protest the gas prices, and John says truck drivers always having to empty their wallets for fuel weighs heavily on this decision.
This truck holds about 160 gallons at $4 a gallon. That's $720 a fill-up. And a lot of people are complaining that their profit margins are being dug into, but what compensates for that is fuel surcharge. Don't be surprised if you start paying $3, $4 for a cucumber.
So what will the reaction of drivers from passenger cars be when the gas hits $4 a gallon? Ask the truck drivers. They already know. Reporting from Lawrence County, I'm Andy Bortz for the County Line.
The Silk Road in New Wilmington is more than just unique handmade crafts and gifts. Owner Wendy Farmery attaches a great cause to each and every sale she makes. Reporter Amy Gerber gives us an insight to the positive impact each sale at the Fair Trade Market has.
On the corner of Market Street and Neshannock Avenue lies another world. The Silk Road Fair Trade Market houses unique gifts from all over the world. Some of the most unique gifts are the jewelry pieces, particularly because of what they stand for.
Everything in here has that little story behind it. The jewelry is everything from rainforest nuts, coconut shells, there's hand-painted pieces, and a lot of beadwork and sterling silver and gemstones.
With all the beautiful materials, which are also environmental friendly, it's hard to choose just one as a favorite.
One of my favorite items is actually what I'm wearing. This comes from Nepal. It's sterling silver with peridot stones, and what it actually does, it gets children out of regions of conflict, which I'm sure everybody's heard of what's going on in Nepal right now. It pulls them into Kathmandu, and it's teenage boys who spend half of their day learning how to make jewelry, and then the other half they actually get an education. This necklace that is made out of magazines. They cut each magazine into little strips of paper and roll them up into little beads and then put a shellac on them so that they actually look like a stone or a standard little bead.
When you purchase a gift at the Silk Road for you or someone else, you'll learn a little bit about the culture and the cause of what you're supporting. All kinds of pieces from around the world, including various earrings, bracelets, toe rings, and necklace pendants. The best part is it supports great causes, whether it be teenage boys in Nepal who need an education or women in the United States who need a place to go. The fair trade organizations help them out immensely. So, pick up a little something and support a great cause. For the County Line, I'm Amy Gerber.
One New Wilmington business owner was surprised to find a car had backed into her store. This week, the County Line's Alex Hines went back to Flowers on Vine to see where things stand now.
Here in New Wilmington, you can find many small storefronts in town showing off their products, such as this one at Flowers on Vine. However, things at the shop weren't so calm a few weeks ago when a car backed through the side of the shop, leaving a gaping hole in the wall and shattering the store's window. However, inside the shop, things are largely back to normal. Owner Terry Patterson is already back open and has been since the week of the accident. The biggest issue for her now is having all the light blocked from one room of her shop. Inside, the only thing tipping the customers off that something isn't normal is a temporary plywood wall set up by repair crews to keep the cold weather out. But because of this, many of the plants had to be crammed into one of the two remaining rooms at the store. Patterson says her insurance has already been processed and she's now waiting to get a new window into the space the old one left behind. Reporting in New Wilmington, I'm Alex Hines for the County Line.
Journalist Jeremiah Patterson has been busy this past week catching up with all the breaking news across Lawrence County. We'll try to catch up with him on this week's edition of Web Stories. Jeremiah?
Good evening, I'm Jeremiah Patterson in the Titan Radio newsroom. Here's what we're covering on TitanRadio.net this week. Zambelli Fireworks out of Lawrence County says one of its top pyrotechnicians broke his contract and started work for Zambelli's in-town competition. Zambelli filed a federal lawsuit last week claiming firework designer Matthew Wood left his firework company to work for Pyrotechnico. Zambelli's attorney is now accusing Pyrotechnico and Matthew Wood of trying to destroy or damage its business. The company wants the court to stop Wood working for Pyrotechnico for 2 years. Zambelli is seeking more than $75,000 apiece. New updates in the Donna Munda case. Her attorney says a local judge acted too quick to re-sentence Munda for a drug offense. Mercer County Assistant District Attorneys said a common pleas court judge had a right to add on a 1 to 3 year sentence at the end of Munda's federal life sentences. 48-year-old Munda was charged with stealing prescription painkillers from a former employer. She then violated her 3-year probation when she hired her lover, Damian Bradford, to gun down her husband, Dr. Gulam Munda, in 2005. If Munda were to be released and pardoned for murder, she would still have to serve her local 1 to 3 year sentence. A 15-year-old Mercer High School student faces weapons charges this week. According to police, the boy took an 8-inch folding knife with a 3-inch blade onto school property. He is charged with possession of prohibited weapons and having weapons on school property. Listen to commercial-free music 24 hours a day at TitanRadio.net. I'm Jeremiah Patterson for your Titan Radio web update.
Volant or Volant? A question that seems to never get answered among curious tourists. Reporter Amanda Conway gets the accurate pronunciation straight from the horse's mouth as she asks residents from the small town of Volant, or Volant.
How do you pronounce the name of this tiny town? Some Westminster students are debating about how it's said in their hometowns.
Volant or Volant?
I say Volant, but people can say it either way.
I say Volant.
Oh,
I don't even know what I say. Volant? Volant?
I say Volant when I say it, but I don't know. Other people say either, so whatever.
I'm from Pittsburgh, and I say Volant.
I'm from Erie, and I say Volant. I'm from Newcastle, and I say Volant.
I used to pronounce it Volant, but now I pronounce it Volant.
I say Volant.
I say Volant too.
I'm from Butler and I say Volant.
Christy and I'm from Pittsburgh and I say Volant.
Obviously, there is a lot of debate on the subject, so I decided to go visit some locals and find out what the actual pronunciation is.
It's Volant.
The locals call it Volant. However, if you're from the southern part of the state, mainly Pittsburgh, it is called Volant. But the correct pronunciation is Volant.
So there you have it. The correct pronunciation of this little town is Volant. Reporting in Volant, I'm Amanda Conway for the County Line.
Volant or Volant, how do you pronounce it, Laurel?
Volant.
Volant, yeah, that's how I always done as well. Well, there's more to come on the County Line, including all the blood-pumping action from today's blood drive held here on the campus of Westminster College.
And in this week's County Close-Up, Daniel Adams sits down with someone who has plenty of on-air experience on television networks such as NBC and Fox.
And Dave Gregg steps up to the plate and hits one out of the park in this week's edition of Titantown Sports. Stay tuned, more County Line is on the way.
A spare tire. Please report to the press box to retrieve your appendage. They must have lost this parking further from the stadium and walking in.
Remember, if there's ever an emergency, we meet here at the bottom of the driveway.
And I'll get the emergency disaster kit out of the kitchen.
Once we're all together, then we'll decide what to do.
But what about Fido?
What about Fido? The Lawrence County Humane Society reminds you to include your pets in your disaster planning. Make sure that your pets have identification tags that include your phone number. To find out more about how to protect your pets in a disaster, contact the Lawrence County Humane Society.
Come on! This way! Who is that guy? I don't know! Hurry up! He's right behind us! I know! Come on, get up!
407 years ago.
Think history is a little scary? Then log on to loc.gov and see how much fun it can be. The Library of Congress at loc.gov.
What do you got there, Dave? Looks like someone's thunder thighs. They must have lost them playing in the snow with their kids. Let's get back to work.
The Central Blood Bank made a stop at Westminster College today in search of students willing to donate their blood to a great cause. Reporter Danielle Adams was there to cover the event and was one of the brave individuals willing to donate her blood.
Today I am here at the Berlin Club Room for the Central Blood Bank's blood drive. Now, I know some people really have a problem with donating blood because it scares them. I've done this a couple times, so I thought today I'd give you a little bit of background on how this whole process works. So what I've just done is I've completed a couple of questions and some paperwork, and now I'm just waiting for them to call my name, which is now. So I'll see you over there.
After testing my iron and answering a few more questions, all I had to do was wait. Pretty soon, my nurse Donna came over and found a good vein. Next, she cleaned my arm with iodine to remove any bacteria and prevent infections. Then came the worst part, the needle. That's it? It was a little painful, but it didn't last long. A few squeezes later, and I was all finished.
Well, it's as simple as that. The only bad thing is the poke of a needle. But if you can get past that, just think that it's all for a good cause. In the end, it's well worth it. For the County Line, I'm Danielle Adams.
I'll be out by 11. Westminster alum and Emmy Award winner Eric Burns was on campus Tuesday evening presenting his speech entitled The Real World.
On this week's County Close-Up, Danielle Adams sits down with Burns to talk about his career in front of the camera and any advice he could offer future media professionals.
Hello and welcome to the County Close-Up. I'm Danielle Adams, and I am very honored to be joined by Emmy Award-winning media critic and author of 4 nationally recognized books, including the latest, Virtue, Valor, and Vanity, and also Westminster alum, Eric Burns. Mr. Burns, thank you so much for joining me today.
You can call me Eric.
Okay, I will try to do that. Now, most recently, you were the host of Fox News Channel's Fox News Watch.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me a little bit more about what you're doing now?
I am finishing my next book, which I have a rather rigorous deadline for. I'm about to start doing some commentaries on the media for National Public Radio, and it's a strange world, Danielle. When I was fired from Fox, and I was fired, there was more publicity than I have ever gotten in my life for doing my job well, from blogs to the New York Times, the result of which has been numerous offers because I seemed like such a good guy. You know, why did Fox fire such a sweetheart? And you can tell that I am kind of a sweetheart.
Absolutely.
So the question is a valid one. So I'm considering numerous possibilities. Even though I look great, I'm older than I look. So I really don't want to do too much and don't have to do too much. So the two things I've mentioned to you, the next book and the commentaries for NPR are definite. And other than that, I don't know. And I wish you really wouldn't pry into my personal life the way you seem to be doing.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Now here in Pennsylvania, we are preparing for our primaries coming up. Now, could you tell me a little bit how you would interpret the media's behavior as far as their coverage of the Clinton and Obama campaigns, and do you think that the upcoming primaries add any pressure to the way that the media cover these events?
I don't know that they add pressure, Danielle. I think what they do is add interest, because after Pennsylvania's done, depending on the results, the Democratic race may be done. And I think the media have been characteristically irresponsible to the point of criminality. What they cover compared to what they don't cover. Days and days on Obama's innocent remark about, what was it, I have a typically white grandmother. You know, the stock market is behaving with total irrationality. The war in Iraq is better, but whoever said we may be there 100 years could be right. Osama bin Laden is loose. The housing market is horrible. And the media covering a presidential race among three people now, all of whom have ideas, solid ideas about the issues, never cover them. The reason they don't is that the nuances and complexities of these issues that I just mentioned are daunting for them. So they take the simple way out and they cover the superficial stuff. The New York Times more than a month ago ran an article on whether or not the candidates' wives would be important to the campaign. They will take a phrase out of context. Reverend Wright, my God, Reverend Wright, Obama's pastor, gets so much more coverage than any idea Obama has advanced. The media, I mean, this sounds schoolmarmish, but they truly ought to be ashamed of themselves. It's what they always do. They're doing it again now. And the result is that people are forming opinions about candidates without knowing a single thing about how they stand on an issue.
Okay, now quickly, it seems like young people today only know about politics because of people like Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart. Why do you think that this is, and how do you think that the media can change young people's perceptions about politics?
Well, I've seen Stephen Colbert's show once. I didn't like it, so I can only comment on The Daily Show, which I've been on, by the way. It's a strange thing to talk about because as a straight news source, of course, it isn't. But there is an awful lot of really brilliant commentary that is not just comedic. I mean, Stewart's jokes are not just funny. They are comments on pomposity, hypocrisy, and as such, I think are immensely valuable. If that's your only source of news, you're in trouble. But if that's one of your sources of news, the brilliance of the comedic commentary, I think, is enlightening.
Okay. Well, I think that's all that we have time for. Well, just one more quick question, very quickly. Do you have any advice for young people that want to go into the media profession, as some kind of guidance?
Don't expect to do serious work. The media are getting less and less serious because the audience is getting less and less patient with substantive programming. Witness the kinds of reality shows that are on the air. If you're idealistic, you think you're going to make a change, work for a newspaper, try to be the next Ted Koppel, but don't assume you're going to go to one of the broadcaster cable networks and do anything that you'll be really proud of. It's possible, but it's unlikely.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I have been talking with Emmy Award-winning media critic and Westminster alum Eric Burns. Mr. Eric, thank you so much for joining me again.
I'm happy to have done so, Danielle.
Thank you. Stay tuned. More County Line is on the way.
Good evening, Titan fans. I'm David Gregg, and this is Titan Town Sports. Baseball is in full swing here at Westminster, and the boys had to adjust from the Florida climate to Western PA temperatures. The Titans hosted Waynesburg in a doubleheader last Saturday, winning both games with a score of 7-1 and 7-6. First game studs included senior outfielder Brandon Drespling, who went 2 for 4 with 3 ribbies, all coming off a 3-run shot in the 5th inning. And Andrew Robinson went the distance for the Titans in Game 1 as he held the Yellow Jackets to no hits through 5 innings. Leading off the first inning of Game 2 was Danny Wommeldorf, hit his 3rd home run of the year to help the Titans to a 7-6 win, and the boys had no time to rest as they traveled to Pitt Greensburg on Sunday in another doubleheader against the Bobcats. The boys collected 11 hits in Game 1, but only 6 hits in Game 2 as they dropped both games, bringing their overall record to 8-6. But the boys are still undefeated in pack play. The Titans of the Diamond play their next game Saturday at Teal, starting at noon. The softball team also played their first pack games of the season Wednesday in a doubleheader at Teal. However, the Lady Titans would fall in both games by scores of 5-2 and 2-1, bringing their record to 7-4 overall and 0-2 in the pack. Freshman Deandra DeBacco tripled and later scored on an Addie Parker single. However, that's pretty much all Tomcat pitcher Emily Badiz gave up, who pitched a complete Game 3 hitter with 7 strikeouts in Game 1. In Game 2, the Ladies Titans scored 1 run in the bottom of the 7th as senior Maria Joseph led off the inning with a single and later scored on an Ashley Belts groundout. Those were 2 of the only 4 hits the Lady Titans had in Game 2 loss. The girls' next game is scheduled for Saturday as they play host to Chatham, that game beginning at 1 o'clock. And now from college to the pros. The Indians had their home opener on opening day for the first time since 2001 as they hosted the Chicago White Sox on Monday. The Tribe would come out on top 10-8. Sizemore and Gutierrez both hit long balls for the Tribe in the victory. The Tribe was also in action earlier today trying to keep their perfect record going as they met up once again with the White Sox. The White Sox got 2 runs from 2 solo home runs by Juan Uribe and Joe Creedy. And that would be enough to beat the Indians, who only collected 1 run on 2 hits. The Buccos also opened up their season as they traveled to Atlanta. The ex-Manic Xavier Nady hit 2 home runs, one of which was a shot in the top of the 12th to seal the 12-11 win for the Pirates after relief pitching blew a 5-run lead. The Pirates were also in action last night, another game against the Braves. Tom Gorzolani suffered the loss as he gave up 4 runs on 4 hits in 6 innings of work. Now finally, the Buccos are in action tonight, looking to win the series against the Braves. Zach Duke will make his season debut for the Buccos against Mike Hampton for the Braves. And now it's getting down to the end in the NHL regular season. The Pens are sitting pretty in the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. The Pens were in action last night against the Flyers, looking to capture the Atlantic Division title for the first time in team history. Sid the Kid had 2 of the 4 Penguins goals in the game. Other scorers were Sergei Gonchar, who, big surprise, scored on the power play, and also Evgeny Malkin, who scored his 46th goal of the year. Now, last time the Pens won the division title was back in '97, and then it wasn't the Atlantic Division, it was the Northeast Division. The Pens will finish off their season Sunday against the Flyers, looking to keep the #1 seed and have home ice in the playoffs. And now it's the time in the show we'd like to give out the award for Sack Athlete of the Week. And this week I'm getting a feeling of deja vu because the honor goes to, once again, junior Megan Harding. Harding won 3 events at the Western Pennsylvania Championships at Carnegie Mellon last Sunday. Harding also set 2 new school records in the 100-meter and 400 relay. As a team, the ladies placed 3rd out of 15 teams as they finished behind Division I schools St. Francis and Robert Morris, whereas the boys didn't fare as well, finishing 15th out of 15. Top performers were junior Damon Neal, who placed 8th in the javelin, and senior Casey Krieger also captured 8th in the 400 hurdles. Both squads will be in action Saturday at the Malone Invitational. And finally tonight, the tennis team notched their first victory of the year as the boys beat Frostburg State Sunday 5-4. The match came down to fellow broadcaster Scott Lawrence, who defeated Philip Darden in singles competition. Scotty would also win again for the Titans Wednesday, but this time it would not be enough as they would fall to Washington and Jefferson 5-4. The boys' next match is scheduled for 10 a.m. Saturday when the boys go to Grove City to play 2 games, first against Grove City and then Penn State Altoona. And that will do it for Titantown Sports this week. Stay tuned, more County Line is on the way.
Hi everybody, this is Tim McGraw for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. You know, I spend a lot of time on the road and I see some funny things out there, but one thing that's not so funny is someone who's about to drive drunk. So take the keys and be a friend, because friends don't let friends drive drunk.
so nice out here.
Yeah. I used to come out here when I was a kid. Nothing.
No, I definitely heard something.
Look! Who is that?
Let's get out of here! What are you doing? Stop the car!
Okay, okay.
Turn out!
He does?
I'm
sorry. Come on, baby.
Think history is a little scary? Then log on to loc.gov and see how much fun it can be. The Library of Congress at loc.gov.
Properly inflating my tires burns less fuel and saves me money on gas. Yeah, I'm saving Mother Nature from pollution, but more importantly, she saved me $11. Ow!
Environmental defense. Get green.
By keeping my car regularly tuned, I save money on gas and repairs. That also means cleaner air. You know, feels good to help save the cash, planet.
Environmental defense. Get green. For more tips, go to getgreen.com.
If you've ever seen the reality show Rob and Big on MTV, then you've probably seen their pet mini horse. Where do mini horses come from anyways?
Well, Laura, we're going to find out as reporter Nikki Pizar introduces us to a local horse breeder who breeds these extraordinarily small animals.
Do they get a little competitive? Yes.
Although horse breeding isn't always the easiest job, Elaine Jones has held the reins for more than 30 years.
I was always drawn to the little ones. If it was a litter of puppies, I was always picking the runt. Litter of kittens, I had to pick the tiny one. And I heard about miniature horses, and I said, ooh, I got to do that.
Elaine started the Jones Mini Winnies Company in 1980, and now she has more than 50 mini horses on her farm. Miniature horses barely stand taller than the stall door, generally ranging from 34 to 38 inches in height. But they should not be confused with ponies, as the mini horses still exhibit full-grown horse characteristics.
A lot of people say, well, why have a miniature horse? You can't ride them. Well, you can drive them. You can walk into nursing homes. You know, there's a lot of them that use them for therapy. Miniature horses are like, you know, kind of like puppies, dogs. I mean, they really want your friendship, you know. So they are really friendly.
I like mini horses. Jones's Mini Winnies. That's what I like. Whoa!
Just walking through Elaine's house shows she loves the mini horses like her own family.
We've even had birthday parties for Cinder, and nobody wanted to eat the cake after she took her bite, but we had fun anyhow. You know, when you have horses in your blood, you can't get away from it. It's just really hard. You love them, and you just don't know what else to do. If I didn't have the horses, I don't know what else I would do.
I think I've come to realize that mini horses make the best pets. In West Middlesex, I'm Nikki Pizar for the County Line.
Representative Michelle Brooks supports a bill helping participants in the state's PACE and PACEnet prescription drug programs to maintain their benefits. PACE and PACEnet offer coverage for eligible older Pennsylvanians. House Bill 2345 allows participants who receive disqualifying cost of living adjustments from Social Security to maintain their eligibility in the programs until December of 2010.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for tonight's Edition Line.
Join us again next week as I will have the opportunity to speak with an individual who overcame the hardships of sexual abuse.
And Jeremiah Patterson continues to cover all the happenings in Lawrence County in his weekly Web Stories segment.
And as always, Dave Gregg will keep us up to the speed of a fastball with the action of Titantown Sports. Good night.
Good night.
acceleration should feel less like a quick burst of speed and more like a limitless force of nature. The 306 horsepower G from Infiniti. Lease an Infiniti G sedan for $349 a month for 24 months.
We know why we're here. To redefine air travel for a new generation.
To ensure our forces are safer and stronger.
To take the world we share to tomorrow and beyond.
Around the globe, the people of Boeing are working together to make a difference.
That's why we're here.
The family of a missing man in Georgia is grateful to an 8-year-old boy for finding him and bringing him safely home. Jeff Dorff, affiliate WSB, reports on how the second grader was honored for his efforts.
How could one boy stand out in a crowd like this? The blonde one, that's Zachary Evans. Last week, he found Walter Wood, who is confused and lost after brain surgery, out in the woods.
I'm still wondering how I got over there.
And led Mr. Wood to safety. So at school, they made a huge deal out of Zach in front of the whole second grade. He met Mr. Wood's family.
The man that you found, I'm his daughter. And we just want to say thank you. You're a big hero, you know that?
They made a cake for him. Look at this. Is this cool or what? This is a picture of Zach in front of the police car. Real firemen and police came to school. Zach, you did great. Thanks. And gave him proclamations.
We want to welcome you aboard as an honorary firefighter with the Cherokee County Fire and Emergency Services.
And he got his picture with the guys and sat in their truck and got to share the cake with his class.
Here's your hero cake right there.
And Mr. Wood's family gave him tearful thanks. So, how does an 8-year-old stand out in the second grade? When the whole second grade stands up for him.
Isn't that great? Our thanks to Jeff Dorff, affiliate WSB, for that. A toddler and his family are grateful for the quick thinking of a 15-year-old friend. She saved 1-year-old Aiden from his family's trailer after a dryer fire started. Laura McDaniel and a friend got 3 children out and then realized Aiden was still inside. McDaniel raced back into the burning home.
I think she was a little guardian angel. I think she was a savior. She was my savior. Without her, I mean, he might have died.
His mom said Aiden was about a foot away from the dryer. We showed you this odd little critter that wandered into a neighborhood near Portland, Oregon a few days ago. Today we know what it is and who the owner is. It's a Patagonian cavy, a South American rodent sort of like a rabbit.